Hello there and a very good evening to you. I'm Patrick Falk in Hong Kong. You're watching ViuTV News. Coming up on tonight's show. Customs officers seize $72 million worth of tusks in shipping container from Malaysia. A 15-year-old schoolgirl among 3 arrested for trying to smuggle $19 million worth of cocaine into Hong Kong. And reports say Liu Xiaobo's liver condition has deteriorated so badly that he can't handle any more treatment. All right, we begin tonight with Hong Kong's biggest ivory bust in nearly 3 decades. Customs officers have seized $72 million worth of tusks in a shipping container from Malaysia. Authorities subsequently arrested the owner and 2 staff of a trading firm in Tuen Mun who are believed to be masterminds of a smuggling syndicate. Officers say preliminary intelligence suggests that the contrabands were expected to be exported to nearby Southeast Asian countries where demand for ivory products is still insatiable.
According to that, it was declared as 1,000 cartons of frozen fish with about 7,000 kilograms weight, which is far less than the total volume and weight that a frozen container can carry. So from the perspective of the cost effectiveness, we consider it is a suspicious shipment.
Meantime, police arrested 3 people, including a 15-year-old schoolgirl at the Shenzhen Bay port for smuggling $19 million worth of cocaine to Hong Kong. Officers said 20 kilograms of the drug were hidden in a suitcase inside a car, taking the trio across the border. The 2 men detained are suspected of helping a drug ring lure teenagers on board with free trips and money. Police say they'll request heavier sentences from the court for the 2 men for using underage people to traffic drugs.
In Cantonese, the range is usually from a couple of thousand to about $10,000 Hong Kong dollars. And this amount to young people, 15, 16 years old, it could be quite a big sum of money.
Now, Education Secretary Kevin Yeung is confident LegCo will pass the government's $3.6 billion funding request for its new education measures before it breaks for the summer. Yeung is letting lawmakers decide if they should move the request up on the agenda as the new administration works on improving the relationship with the legislature. He'll meet with lawmakers this week to lobby for their support. The new funding injection has drawn scrutiny for not covering students on associate degree programs, but Yeung said the government wants to review the role of the courses first.
The program was initially meant to be a level of education between high school and university, but many associate degree holders nowadays see it as just a stepping stone towards a university degree afterwards. So we have to review what the role and value of these programs are.
Staying on local news, and it's been a while, but Occupy protesters who were accused of ignoring an injunction during the Occupy protests in 2014 are finally in court. 11 pro-democracy activists, including Demosistos Joshua Wong and former student leader Lester Shum, pleaded guilty of contempt of court today. The group admitted they obstructed the clearance of the Mong Kok Occupy site in November 2014. They're among the 20 activists charged with the same offence. And a plea for leniency, Wong's defence lawyer said he's hoping to run in the 2020 LegCo election, so a prison term of more than 3 months would dash his wish. Outside the court, however, Wong said he's willing to bear legal responsibility for his actions.
Disobedience, I'm ready to pay the price. I will not regret. Even I will get certain possibility to be put in the prison or to enter the jail in the next few months. But as the one to fight for democracy and under the suppression of the new administration and also Chinese government, it's necessary to let the world to know that no matter what have happened, we will continue to fight for democracy with peace and non-violence.
The government is to set up an expert group to study the city's land supply issues to make the process of building new homes easier. Development Secretary Michael Wong said members of the group will hold debates and provide more direction on tackling the city's housing problems. He hopes it'll speed up the works. Wong's predecessor was under fire for asking the Housing Society to study the feasibility of building flats on the fringes of country parks. But he brushed off criticism from green groups, saying the land accounts for less than 0.1% of the total area of country parks. And to the latest on Nobel Peace Laureate Liu Xiaobo, who's been released from jail on medical parole. Sources say the situation with his liver cancer has worsened. Photos have emerged online showing a frail-looking Liu and his wife Liu Xia in hospital. According to his friends, Liu's situation is extremely bad, with experts who checked on him recently saying his liver function has deteriorated and is unable to bear any more treatment. Medics have reportedly stopped all Chinese and Western cancer treatments for Liu for now. Stern words from the United States, which warned it's ready to use force if need be to stop North Korea's nuclear missile program. This comes as China asked UN Security Council members to back its joint statement issued together with Russia, which called Pyongyang's latest test launch unacceptable. The statement urged for peaceful handling of the crisis instead of pushing it to armed conflicts. The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations said her country prefers diplomatic solutions, but that North Korea is closing the possibility off. Nikki Haley also pushed China and Russia to support new sanctions that the U.S. is about to propose.
They have not had any care for Russia or China in this. They have not listened to anything that you've said. They're not going to listen to anything that you say. And so it's time that we all stand together and say we will not put up with this action. To sit there and oppose sanctions or to sit there and go in defiance of a new resolution means you're holding the hands of Kim Jong-un.
A deadly storm lashed the Japanese city of Asakura, with at least one person killed after being buried in a landslide. At least a dozen people are missing, including a child. Flooding rivers have forced about 400,000 people from their homes, with landslides reported in several areas. Residents are telling horror stories of family members being swept away by the waters or trees tearing through walls of their residences. The government's rushing to send in aid, with 7,500 rescuers mobilized to help with evacuations. Now, rare footage of Korean sex slaves for Japanese troops during World War II has been released by the Seoul Metropolitan Government. The black and white video was discovered by Korean researchers in the U.S. National Archives and Records Administration after 2 years of digging. The video was filmed by a U.S. soldier in 1944 and showed 7 women found by the U.S.-China Allied forces in China's southwestern Yunnan province. The researchers said 2 of the women in the video had also appeared in previously released photos of comfort women, a euphemism for girls and women forced to work in Japanese military brothels during the war. All right, up next, the latest from the world of business.
Good evening. Well, Hong Kong went the way of most Asian markets, sliding into negative territory. Investors largely cautious after minutes from the US Fed showed a lack of consensus on interest rates. The Hang Seng Index ending the day 0.22% lower, dragged down by banking and energy stocks. But Tencent continues to rebound from its huge losses earlier this week with a second day of gains. Cathay Pacific also adding 2% after it's expanding its code-sharing deal with Shenzhen Airlines. Now, Hong Kong Airport is busier than ever, but its bottom line has taken a hit. Full-year profits are down almost 1% to $8.2 billion, partly because of ballooning income tax bills. It's the first time in 13 years the aviation hub has seen a drop in earnings. That said, though, income hit record levels and passenger numbers swelled to more than 70 million. Hong Kong Airport still also remains one of the most profitable in the world, alongside London Heathrow. Now, speaking of aviation, China is spending big to upgrade its fleet of state-owned aircraft. It's buying 140 new Airbus planes in a deal worth $23 billion. Laura Freichberg reports.
It's one of the biggest business deals in a long time for Airbus. The aircraft manufacturer is selling 140 of its planes to China, including its A320 and A350 aircraft, a deal worth almost $23 billion. The planes will be bought by a state-owned aviation company and then allocated to Chinese airlines. It's the first major news from Airbus since the company's restructure and merge of its parent company and its dominant plane-making arm. More deals could also be on the way. China's said to be interested in Airbus's A380 Super Jumbo. That would be a welcome boost for the company. Its new jet airliner has recently seen sales stall.
Now, from planes to cars, and Volvo is going green. Its Chinese parent company announcing all models launched after 2019 will either be electric or hybrid. Julian Satterthwaite looks at why the automaker is shifting gears.
Volvo is going all in on clean cars. The Swedish firm saying all new models after 2019 will be electric or hybrids. That makes it the first big automaker to set a date for phasing out traditional engines.
We are reacting to customer demand, asking for electrified cars. And of course, it's also the way for us to come down when it comes to CO2 levels and reducing our carbon footprint.
Here's one reason for the Volvo move. Elon Musk's Tesla brand enjoying a sales boom. Its new Model 3 going into full production this week, having already racked up over 300,000 orders. The company credited with making electric cars not only credible, but desirable. Volvo wants in on the action.
Under Geely ownership, Volvo has been moving up market. Again, becoming more of a luxury car that can really take on the rivals such as Daimler's Mercedes-Benz and BMW. So what they're doing now is adding a technological trend that is really prevalent in the car industry, which is electrification.
Volvo will continue to sell petrol and diesel cars developed before 2019. But there will be no new investment in traditional engines. Another sign, perhaps, that the era of the gas guzzler is coming to an end.